Accept your death.
Hater, it's that magical time of the year when Canadians from coast to coast to coast all band together and pretend to know just enough football to convince their friends who know just a little bit more football than them that they know what they're talking about.
American football, you mean, right?
American football. None of this, whatever other, Brazilian, English football. The one where they don't actually use the one where they don't actually use their feet for very much, other than running, I guess. They're just
you mean American football is the one that don't use their feet, right?
That's
You're
right.
not confusing that with okay.
No, the one where they actually do use their
so
feet.
you got your dips and your hot wings and your potato chips and stuff. Are you gonna have a little game party?
I am not. As much as I am excited to see Travis Kelce take on Taylor Swift and the Chiefs, I do not really care about football that much. And that's not to rag on anyone that does. I'm not... People like what they like, it's interesting to me that, Canadians who don't have huge skin in the game, there's people that I talk to on a weekly basis.
They're caught up in the hype.
Who never once, I know, have mentioned football throughout the year, but, now they're going to the Super Bowl parties, So...
Yeah, call them a fair weather fan.
Sure.
I love that.
Sure.
No, I'm going to a Super Bowl party, but it's funny because nobody cares. Literally, the only reason it's happening, the only person that's going to be there that cares about the game is my friend's 75-year-old dad who wanted to watch it. And he has a really nice, very thorough, with all the bells and whistles, little home theater with all the furniture and snacks and a popcorn machine and all sorts of shit. So his dad wanted to watch the game over there. So he's like, well, let's just order food or whatever and hang out. So
sure,
that's what I'm doing.
Nice. Yeah, I as involved as I got was my brother bursting into our house today and being like, "Hey, I'll bet you $20 the Eagles win." And I'm like, "Sure, I'll embrace the Tyler Lansdowne.
Yeah.
Go Chiefs." That's as involved as I'm getting in it. Maybe I get $20, maybe I lose $20. Who knows?
Does your brother do stuff like that a lot?
Yeah, he's very impulsive.
Is he a high-risk person? Yeah, impulsive, high-risk person?
Very impulsive. He's a car salesman's wet dream, I tell you. He's just that kind of guy. I love him to bits, though. He's awesome.
He's selling cars or he's buying cars from these salesmen?
He's buying them. He can sell them, too. I've seen him buy cars that don't even work and then resell them for more than he paid for them. I don't know how he does it.
That's cool.
He's a miracle man in that way. We look very similar, except for the hairs on the opposite side of our head.
You parted except for your evil twin.
Pretty much, yeah. He was bald at 17, and I can't grow a beard to save my life. But he's got a big old scruffy beard, and I'm a little baby face over here. So it's I should have him on my YouTube channel one of these days, just so people can have a look. It's quite funny. He's a funny guy.
All right.
What isn't funny though is that how many...
What's not funny?
How many people left...
Why are you laughing if it's not funny?
I'm laughing.
That was a good one. That's like an 8 out of 10. I gotta say, that's the best one yet.
We try to improve upon it every single week.
Yeah.
What's not funny is how many people left comments.
Let's try that again. All right.
What's not funny is how many people left comments on our podcast last week. I almost made it. That's as close as I'm going to get. So we're just going to take that and run. So we've got... I want to start with this one. So Shexy says 7 forward 4s in a row. They're dead. And that kind of got me thinking, if you can recall in the moment here, what is the most ridiculous way you've ever won a match? In any fighting game. Is there one instance, or maybe in multiple of instances, where you did one silly thing that the opponent just couldn't figure out and just ended up taking the match?
Nothing too out of pocket, right? You can do a lot of wild stuff in this game, but even the really simple stuff, and so that forward 4 comment's a reference to my little Combat League story from last week, right? How I hit that guy 7 times in a row. That shit happens all the time. So that's not a little unique sort of thing. But dude, the best is having a read, because it's not how many overheads are you going to take before you start blocking low, and then not even. So let's just say 3 or 4, right? So that's, let's say you ducked 4 times, but now it's like you don't want, you're afraid of the low now. You're going to try to like jump out or disrespect it in some way, or delay wake up or something else. So you get hit again and again and again, and before you know, that's like 116 damage. That's more than a back throw. So imagine just getting thrown like 8 times in a row.
Oh man, yeah, I've been there too.
The best is when they finally block overhead, and that's the time you go for the back 4, and that kills.
Right.
Like that, you know that's got to feel bad.
I've been there before, where I'm just like get hit with an overhead and get hit with an overhead, and I'm okay. Now they're gonna do the low. They've conditioned me. Nope, overhead again. Okay, now they're gonna do the low. Nope, overhead again. All right, they're probably gonna throw me now that I'm blocking. Nope, overhead again. So I've definitely been there. For myself, I've got to say there's been some goofy moments with Warlock Quan Chi in MKX with his forward 4 scoop, because it's just such a fast overhead low, and it's like overhead low, overhead low, overhead low. That's sometimes low, low, down 3 scoop, down 3 scoop, and every once in a while they'll try and like armor wake up, and it's fast enough to just break their wake up, and it's just they just get scooped again. And that scoop animation is just so goofy that it's I don't know how you don't get tilted being hit by that over and over again, because I certainly would be. But
my favorite way I've ever died, like ever, was in MK1, and it was against Carl was playing Lee May, and I was playing Melina, and he had a lamp out on the screen, and I threw out a sector rocket, and I went into teleport, and like right into the lamp. So I landed it at such a trajectory, and it just instantly turned my head into the lamp as I started floating away, but it was already in the air, right? It was hilarious.
That sounds pretty funny. That's like the other day we were watching Ketchup playing, and then was it the Cyrax bomb or something got on Conan, the brutality on Conan.
Oh,
and it was
yeah. He's got that little head,
tiny
right?
little
He's
head.
Bro, he looks like a Rick and Morty character or something.
That was so funny. I want to recreate that just to see that again, because and his laugh on top of it was.
What made it so good was how hard he laughed the first time.
Oh man, good times, man, good times. All right, so moving on here, Harvey, we got. I'll put this comment on the screen, talking about maining Tanya, and being obviously a Denian fan. I see here. What I wanted to highlight though is your opinion, because you love parries, and Harvey's talking about Tanya's parry a little bit here. Do you think parries are particularly strong in MK1, or do you think they're about as balanced as they have been in other games? I know in MK11 they felt particularly strong, more so than MK1, especially. Maybe that's just because I'm dumb, but I can't even count on all my digits how many times you've hit me with Scarlet's stupid parry. So I wasn't sure what your thoughts were on that.
I'm gonna make one comment about the Scarlet parry, but don't let me get carried away, because I have a question for you on the back of that question for me.
Oh, okay.
But why I really like the Scarlet parry is because you could hold it, right? So it was a little bit of a mind game. Like instant, it still had recovery, right? And if you try to punish her, that's your chances to, if you don't have a lower jump in, or you're just kind of like frozen in place, you got to try to catch her in recovery. But if she can hold that, and you just stare at it for like 5 seconds and then go to punish her, but she's still holding it, it hasn't worn off yet. That's funny, but it also had a crushing blow. And it gave her... Dude, talk about how sauceless MK11 was compared to, like, say, any other NRS game. And I was like just so excited. I after that parry, I have just enough hit advantage, right? And this has happened. You've seen me do it a million times. It's happened to you a million times. I hit you with the parry. I do an immediate teleport, which is the perfect amount of frames. If I'm, frame perfect, or use the input buffer to get another parry out right away. And like when you wake up with an up 3 or whatever, you get parried again. And you can just loop that as long as I have bar. I think I needed the amplified version. But I was going to say, what do you think about the strength of parries? Because how many parries did you get hit by week 1 of Conan?
None, to be honest. And I punished him for...
How many attempts?
A lot. Yeah, there was week 1 of Conan. There was a lot of parry attempts, and I don't know if it's just the input or the animation is just so jarring. Like, it's so deadly obvious. It's not even close to any of his other moves. It's like, yeah, there it is.
Right. Okay. That's a very good point. And I would say that Conan's parry is probably about as strong as, say, like Ghostface backstage pass, right? If you're going to use that raw neutral to try to catch somebody, like people getting tore up week one, but once you like learn the matchup right, you're just waiting and reacting and, you know, full combo punish if he cancels it, or full combo punish if you block it. I feel like that's what Conan's parry is, but Tanya can't. Can she hold hers?
I believe she can. Yeah, she's got an EX version too, I believe.
She can hold hers. She has follow-ups. It can do projectiles at the same time. It's vulnerable to the same things that parries are, but she also has other things, like, you know, the buff that also puts her like in that really rigid stance. It doesn't have the big glowy arms or whatever, right? But if you're reacting to movement, in particular her going basically at a 90-degree angle, standing all straight up and proper, it's easy to get those out without getting punished before people like just realizing too late, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's I feel like my general stance on parries in this game is like, I feel like the parry itself, I think Tanya and probably Johnny Cage's Fatal Blow obviously are like the best parries in the game. But I find that like projectile parries are also more useful in this game than they have been in other games.
Do you use sectors? Every time I use sectors, it's on accident.
I always forget about it, and then once I remember, I'm like unstoppable because like it increases her. You can special cancel her. It charges projectile, and it increases the speed by 7 frames.
Yeah, if you spend bar, right?
No, you don't need. I don't think you need to spend bar. I think
no. So you can do a reversal out of it, but does it cost 2 bars to do the EX projectile out of it? But it comes out like way faster. It's something like that.
Yeah, so if you can special cancel a move out of it, and I don't believe that costs any meter. And it speeds up the startup of the move by 7 frames. But then you can do EX out of it for a bar, I believe. So, but I haven't really delved into that as much. I should be, because it's really good for matchups like Liu Kang and stuff. Dude,
like, it charges are standing too as well.
Yeah, that's also good, which is a 16 frame plus 9 on block mid. It's special cancelable.
Right. It's also crazy. Like it turns into her biggest combo starter. It's the classic little backdash teleport sort of thing that Sector had in MKX.
Right, you know, right.
Holding that 2, then that 1 to get the big cancel that you can 2-in-1 cancel, just like you did with Sector for his like B&B. Right, he had the big backdash into the teleport, and then it went into the rest of the combo.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that for the longest time, and I was like, how did I do that combo again? I had to look at the moves list and be like, oh yeah, you have to like kind of slide, kind of like plink between the 2-1 kind of idea, but it's...
Yeah, you just hold 2 and then hold 1, like right after it.
Yeah, but it's pretty good. I think, the most damaging combo extender, better than 2-4, or 4-2, sorry, not by a whole lot, but a little bit. So it's good. It's fun. Next comment here, KJ2094. Leverless layout is 1, 2, 3, 4 across the top row. Block, grab, cameo stance across the bottom. This is why I landed on after a lot of trial and error. Having block on your thumb felt very comfortable as well to access to the 4 attack buttons. With a dedicated finger stance on pinky is also very helpful. Only challenge is holding cameo can be a little tricky for some inputs, but I've gotten used to that in time. Man, me just trying to wrap my head around this layout. Like in theory, this sounds really good and really comfortable, but that is so different from anything that I'm used to.
Well, like right away, the thumb being the block button. That's like Soul Calibur, right? That's your guard button. Would be like what 3 is on a traditional layout. But I agree. If all you play is Mortal Kombat, then like whatever works for you. But I play a bunch of games, so I need to have. It was so hard for me to play that alpha test of 2xKO because there was one too many buttons for the kind of shit you needed to do with the assists and stuff. I could not find a comfortable layout like at all. But like when you go to other games, say like Tekken's also a 4-button game, just like Mortal Kombat. So having, index and middle finger on 1 and 2, and then my thumb's resting on 3, and I can shift that over to hit 4. And then, I just have to worry about, it's almost like a blind spot, those other like 4 buttons. But you mentioned, we were talking about last week how on the layout, the right and left button and right and left triggers are actually swapped. right?
Yeah.
How kind of like confusing that is, because you go to hit R1 to navigate a menu and you start going in the opposite direction. But think about this for a second. You've played Street Fighter, right?
I have, yeah.
So on a pad, right?
Yes, pad and stick.
So your 3 punches and your 3 kicks all in a row. So that's your 1 button, your 2 button, and then your R1, right? That's your
Right.
series of heavy punches. And then you have your 3 button and 4 button, and then your right trigger is your series of kicks. Now, if you translate that to a stick layout or a leverless layout, so think about that, the 4 buttons on the top row. You need that first button to be square, the second button to be triangle, and the third button to be R1, but that button's on the left because it comes first, right? So if you move that to, if you swap the places of R1 and left one, suddenly you've got like this gap, right? Index, middle finger, you skip that ring spot,
Right.
and you have to do your heavy like way over there. So I'm sure that's kind of like where it came from.
That makes sense. Now you explain it like that. I mean, the thing with me is like, I've played fighting games on stick before. I've played Mortal Kombat games on stick before. So like, it's not like my right hand that really needs retraining. It's just my left with the directions. Like, I have a layout that works pretty good for me. The weird thing with Injustice is because it didn't have a block button, I was just used to holding back to block, which I don't know if you have an opinion on that, on how that works on, or how that feels on leverless, I guess. I haven't really played around with anything other than
Well, holding a block button?
Like holding like back to block on a fighting game. Or if you
I
didn't mess
prefer
around.
back to block. I would prefer a game to have cross ups and be a back to block. I don't like block buttons because then it's intentional, right? Well, I don't know. I feel like the block button was a way to make Mortal Kombat distinct with its competitors at the time in the early 90s, right? It's the 5-button game and it's got a block button, but like
Right.
what it means in competitive modern fighting games and stuff is you can't block and walk at the same time. And back to block games, you can walk backwards and block at the same time. You can't crouch. If you need a crouch block to be, or locked into like a crouch block to stay in place. Whereas it doesn't matter how you're blocking in this game, you're staying in place. So, but then
Right.
you have to deal with cross ups, and we all know that from Injustice and stuff because that was a back to block game.
Oh yeah. All the cross up shenaniganry.
But I don't mind holding the block button. It's on my pinky, so it's like my 4th button on the top row, which is also my parry button in Street Fighter 6. So I kind of do that. I play a lot of RPGs, a lot of MMOs and stuff, and I play a lot of characters, and it's like that's a lot of abilities and spells and stuff like that to keep track of. So I try to put things in the same spot. Like my number 4 button's always my main nuke, and my 2's always the starter, and my 1's always the filler, and my 5's always AoE. And I try to do the same thing, across fighting games. So I figure, parry button, block button, just make sure it's like my brain mapping.
Makes sense. Makes sense to me. Especially going from the MMO world.
I mean, when you're in the middle, no matter you're in the middle of a game in Combat League, doesn't matter what character you're playing, your brain says, I need a mid, and what happens? Like, how does that translate? To me, that always is just wired to forward 1 because of Melina, and then I played so much Natara, and her mid's also a forward 1. When my brain says mid, I'm always pressing forward 1, and I'm playing characters that don't even have that button, and other characters that have it, but it's a high, that kind of stuff leads me astray.
I have that same issue, but it's with forward 2 because Quan is forward 2, Sector's forward 2. So, I mean, I don't play too many other characters, but every once in a while, I'm playing Sindel or something, going to do forward 2, and she's just whiffing this punch right in the middle of the air. I look so silly.
Bro, yeah, go to do a back 3, and my character doesn't have a back 3, so here's just a big whiff standing 3 in neutral.
See, that's the worst with the few times I play Scorpion, it's okay, but with Sindel, it's a fucking death wish, because, I'm used to doing back 3 with Quan.
That's not...
She just does the fucking splits, and she's just vulnerable for so long. It's like, and even if it hits,
I've seen that used a few times, but it doesn't look like practical, like real B&B type stuff. It feels like people trying to style with some cameos and stuff.
It's actually pretty useful with Shujinko against Garrus. That's the only time that I use it, because because the second hit of like when he's frozen, if you freeze Garrus, the second hit launches, right? So you could do like a forward 4 for the 2 hits, and then the back 3, and then she's recovered by the time, but it still launches him up in the air. So like that's really the only viable place I've seen it done, or like with Sonya cameo, I guess, to do like her air punch, but even then I don't think that's...
Do you recover in time to convert? Because that's a problem I have with a lot of, like, I have like an idea with the character and a cameo, and it's like, well, I got the extension from the cameo, but I'm left at a position I can't do anything about it, or I'm at a position that I could do something about it if I wasn't stuck in a recovery of whatever the cameo took over for me, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's one of those like you make the read before it actually hits kind of thing. You know how like new players will do that with Janet. They'll just like throw it at the overhead.
It's like negative double digits on block, like negative 20 something, isn't it?
Yeah,
or high teens.
Yeah, you're stuck there forever. It's not a viable thing to do. That's why I only use it when Garrus is in the freeze, because like you're not going to miss it. It's guaranteed then, and it gives you the launch that you need. So that's really only time I use it. Anyways, moving on here. So last comment, we got Burrito Voorhees. Shout outs. The end of the video is super good breakdown of input understanding. In MK11, when I used Garrus, if I wanted a micro backdash and a forward 2, I had to input backdash down forward 2. Otherwise, I'd get command grab, since his command grab input was back forward 2.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so I have something similar happen to me all the time whenever I play Shang Tsung. Whenever I'm going from like crouching to like his forward 4, which is like his mid launcher, I always get down forward 4. Well, not always, but like the majority of times I don't mean to. And I don't know why it's that one particular input, because I don't have the issue with anybody else, but it's like with Shang particular, which sometimes isn't terrible, because that's like when he steals the cameo, so sometimes it's useful, but sometimes it gets me killed. So things like that are kind of like things that happen.
It's brutal. I remember Injustice was really bad, had a really like long input buffer, and so stuff like that would happen all the time. It was really hard to clear your input buffer, I feel like, in that game and still be precise. Like if you needed like a really tight, you know, you had a really tight window to throw out your mid or something. But like in this game, I noticed right away in the beta, I'm, you know, Sub-Zero and I'm crouching and I go to do my forward advancing mid, which is 1, and I get Ice Ball, and it's like, okay, it's going to be one of those again, right? Like
Right.
You just can't be anywhere near the down button when you hit that forward button. Otherwise, you're going to get the down forward. And I've been prepared to feel really bad for me, but I've picked up Noob Saibot, you know, right?
Oh,
but,
tear horn a bit here.
Dude, and no, in this context, you should feel really bad for me, because literally every special move he has, coincides, well, maybe not all, I might be embellishing, but so many, more than I've ever experienced while trying to learn a character. I've never had so many input errors, and I'm not just talking about like some of the dash canceling he needs to do for conversions, but it's like you're walking backwards and you want to do your overhead, but you throw out a tackle. You're crouching and you want to do an instant dive kick and you get a tail slam. You are the Sub-Zero thing I was just saying. You're crouching and you're not quite off that down before you hit the forward. Here's a 60 frame ghost ball. Dude, just literally everything. You want to do it. You're crouching and then you walk back a little bit because you want to do a sweep. Very good button for him, right? It's neutron block. It's got more range than his other buttons and stuff. So it's very good and very important for those situations. But you get the super negative down back 4. You know, the clone version,
right?
His armor version, or the EX version's his armor. Anyway, yeah, feel bad for me. Feels bad. I've been having to focus on that a lot this week.
So those are the kind of input errors that I was hoping that Leverless would negate, because I get those sometimes with Sector recently too. You know, I'll get a random teleport when I'm trying to come up from a poke or something like that, or a flamethrower.
I mean, are you a button holder?
Sometimes if I need to, I guess.
Okay. I feel like my default is holding buttons. Like when Ghostface first came out, I had to really, really train my brain to only press 1+3 for a throw, because if I hold it, I'm going to spend a bar whether I want to or not, and then end up an enforcer and stuff. That sort of shit happens to me all the time. So I know that that's kind of like my default resting position unless I'm like really, really thinking about it. So again, I have to like really be spending brain power to be like, lift your thumb, dumbass, you know, lift your middle finger, dumbass.
Hey, I have a question for you while since you brought that up.
Well, they're calling me a dumbass.
No, well, more Ghostface, not dumbass. But hey,
Oh,
what do you think about Ghostface Enforcer stance? Because I don't think I've ever seen any Ghostface use it. They all either use just the default, or they'll switch to the assassin with the knife cancels and the overhead. Do you think Enforcer has some sauce? Like, I know that you were playing Ghostface for quite a while actually there. So
he's like a secondary for me right now. I barely even use either. I'm really bad about switching to them because I don't really. That's the part about the character that I don't like. I mean, I play him with Serena, and I play a really basic bitch game of like, am I gonna grab you or not? I'm playing like a Street Fighter game. Are you gonna try to duck my grab, spend bar for the mid? Or are you gonna try to jump out of it? You know, that sort of thing. So the assassin's good. It's just the knife is too good, and the knife cancels. I think just being in that, and that's the one people transition to in his combos. So when he gets the restand into the knife cancel, he's like +8, and so you're just holding another mix. Right. Enforcer's got like the Rekka and things like that, and that's what I saw everyone playing on like days 1 and 2, right. And then on days 3 and 4 you saw assassins start getting blended. But that was the one I definitely remember people gravitating towards when the character first came out was Enforcer, but I think it's kind of outshined by assassin for the way that most Ghostface players want to play.
Right, that makes sense. And even like when I use Shujinko against Ghostface, like we steal the Enforcer like launcher, like the upwards kick, but like why would I ever use that when I have the backstage pass that's +5 on block? Like it makes no sense even from Shujinko's sense to use it. So I mean, I wasn't sure if there was like I don't think I've ever seen anyone use the Rekkas, to be honest. So I don't know if they're plus, if there's gaps, if you can delay them, or if it's similar to Takeda's. I have no idea.
My experience with Enforcer is when I do like what I said earlier, I throw somebody, I back throw them, and I'm still holding onto the button, and I accidentally spend a bar. Now I'm an Enforcer, and I just do like 2-1-4, right? Just high, you know, whatever. What I just start trying to like mix people with the overhead low things, and I don't even know what the hit is. It going to knock him down, or what is going to happen? I have no idea. But because like I said, I play him super basic. He's definitely like my for fun kind of palate cleanser. I don't take super seriously.
He's really good.
He's too fun. It's just amusing. Everything, like all the little tremolo violins, all those little things. It's entertainment to me.
Yeah, I gotta say that I think out of when I'm thinking about all the DLC characters, I think he was definitely made the best, like from aesthetics to just the little sound effects to the freaking frying pan fatal blow. Like, oh, that gets me every time.
Dude,
I'll never get salty.
Everyone mentions it too. Like if I'm in a voice call and I'm playing Ghostface, the first time that I land that in the set, it always gets mentioned. It's like something people always point out, something everyone's laughing at.
The frying pan. He hit me with the frying pan again. Oh man, it's just too good, and the animation is just so goofy.
I'm not, yeah, and how he sounds like a cartoon. Like when he gets grabbed or knocked out of certain things, he goes, what? Like a cartoon character. He sounds like he's in Looney Tunes or something. But I'm not the kind of person that's like, I kind of accept guest characters. Some are cool. Some I get excited for. Like I was excited for Spawn. I didn't play him, but the idea of him being in the game finally, probably the most requested guest character of all time at that point. I thought that was cool, but I'm not like actively mad about guest characters. I just kind of accept them as, you know, it's gonna happen. But I'm super happy about this guest character, and that doesn't happen very often.
No,
that I'm on the other side of the spectrum to where it's just like, yeah, whatever, it is what it is. Like it's like, no, I'll actually play him.
Yeah, like Omni-Man was cool, and like it's cool that they got the actual voice actor. Sucks it didn't happen for Homelander, but I guess they did an okay job. Same with Conan, but the voice actor for Conan, I think, is the same one that did Terminator, and
it sounds way better. It's
stepped
like
it up big time,
dude. He was sitting on Twitter and looking at everyone roasting him, you know, the Terminator and MK11 and stuff, and he knew he had to. I would say Bro, it was just so obvious in MK11. Like, there was nothing even convincing. It just sounded like somebody trying to sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Conan, I would say, is like a 70-30. Most of the time, he sounds just like him, and it's only little things, like the really subtle things, little inflections or little changes in tone here and there that kind of like revealed that it's not him, but it's way better.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's I played Conan through most of Invasions just to level him up. That's usually what I do when
That's
a
what
new
I did
character
too.
come through. I'll just go
Yeah.
through, pick a cameo that I haven't leveled up yet, and use them with Conan and kind of go through, or whatever character comes out. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's an essentially like you learn one B and B, just a way to beat up the AI and get through invasions and stuff, all while you're kind of looking at the new character. But you're not like taking a super deep dive, right? You're just abusing the same B and B, or looking at your moves list real quick. It's like, oh, I wonder what this string does. Okay, like whatever.
It's a good way to familiarize yourself with a character without like going too deep into it, I find. So it's yeah, I don't know. It's kind of cool. I have 2 nodes left in Invasions, and they're both the cage coin ones that I accidentally spent my cage coins on a different one that I didn't need to complete. And I don't know how to get more cage coins, so I'm kind of stuck.
You can get their rewards sometimes in the Towers of Time. You know how it has like the hard challenge and easy challenge.
Oh, right.
And then it gives you like a relic that you'll never use or whatever.
I got so many relics.
You can get those
instead.
coins there sometimes. I don't know where else they may be, but I see them in there from time to time. I don't do that stuff. I'm too cool for school.
I'm too cool for Towers of Time. I will do them if there's a specific reward in there that I want, or if just to get like a just the character towers or something like that. But like
this Tanya one. The Tanya one was the second to last reward, which is the one I want. It was for one of her Order of Darkness skins. But it was also like when it was the Floyd patch and stuff too, right? So I think that there's, it was not hard to get to that level with all the Floyd attempts and stuff and trying different things, especially before that clue sheet was like more fleshed out and, a lot more experimentation.
Do you remember the Floyd days? They seem so long ago now.
Oh, they do seem so long ago.
Everyone banding together to find Floyd and
Bro, I demand an alternate version of that stage. The idea of it's so cool, but that sun has got to go. Just has to go. The light
so
it does
jarring.
look cool in a cinematic way. In motion, it is awful. Like I oh my gosh. I turn the sun off.
They gotta be planning for like another version of that, because you know how you can select different versions of the stages. I'm sure they'll add one, and maybe not like a daylight kind of one, but maybe one like a nighttime or something. I don't know.
I mean, even the time of day is cool. They just don't need to go so ham on the, sure, yeah, that's exactly what it does feel like, staring directly into the sun. Thank you. Such accurate representation. How the fuck am I supposed to play in it now?
Call me Mr. Burns, because I want to take out the sun, baby. Put a little blackout marker on there or something.
Like stealing candy from a baby.
Oh man, I love The Simpsons so much. 90s Simpsons was the best. So we've had a couple weeks now with Conan. General consensus that I've seen.
Wait. Let me stop you there. People are always quick to point out it's Conan the Barbarian. Everyone says Conan. You know what I think
Conan,
that is?
like Conan O'Brien, but no, tell me why that is.
Conan O'Brien, exactly. You can blame that guy. Big. You may have heard of the guy, and that's how everyone's used to saying it. So yeah, Conan the Barbarian, and you can visualize Conan O'Brien as a guest character in this game.
Conan O'Brien with the little hairy freaking underpants.
Dude, we need a Conan O'Brien that's just a Johnny Cage skin, like the Van Damme thing.
That would be hilarious.
The little pop-offs, the taunt stuff, the star power.
Little Conan O'Brien voice lines or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like
okay. So, sorry, Conan the Barbarian.
Conan the Barbarian. Seems to me a little underwhelming of the character. Like kind of like a mid tier. I remember he dropped, and everyone was saying that he was like absolute garbo, dog shit, all this kind of stuff. And then now he's more fleshed out, and he seems like he's kind of like a mid-tierish character. I don't see him doing anything super crazy. His run cancels are pretty funny with the sounds that he makes.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny, but I don't know. I've played a couple of them online, but nothing's really blown me away. I've lost a couple.
Dude, his
beat a couple.
range is so crazy. Like, no matter how convinced you are you're outside of standing one range, you're not outside of standing one range. I'm sorry.
No.
And if you are, you're definitely not outside of the range of some of like that other stuff. I haven't played against a ton of Conan, but I feel like that's how it goes. Is me going, oh shit, just getting hit by swords like all day, just completely misspaced. But I agree. It seems like the dust has settled for him to be kind of like mid, which is fine. I don't think he's a bad character. He's got sauce and stuff. He just doesn't. He doesn't play the game very well, as well as other characters,
Yeah, that's true. He's, that standing one being 7 frames is actually crazy. Like that for the range that it has is actually nuts. That's got to be the best standing one in the game for sure. I've seen him combo off things that nobody else can combo off of because of that. It's pretty nuts. But
there you go. Okay, so what would you call the best standing one in the game before Conan came out?
Probably. You're going to roast me for this, I know it. But probably Melina. Just because...
No, that's exactly who I was going to say, right?
Okay.
Now, look at the disparity between both of their standing ones. Not talking about frame data and stuff, only range, disjointed hurt box, because they're using weapons and not limbs.
Right.
It's insane, but that's part of like his strength. But just to go from let's say the Melina stand one is the best stand one in the game, the new stand best one in the game is the range on that thing. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's actually I didn't realize that you could combo off of Shujinko's Garrus Steel, where he just does like the little burst or whatever, until I saw a Conan player do it mid-screen because he has all that range off that standing one. Yeah. And I was like, what? So then I took to the corner and I found all these new crazy combos with that. So that's just things like that's how powerful that move is.
Hey, thanks Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, thanks Conan the Barbarian for the tech. Teaching me stuff out here. But yeah, I mean, other than that, like he's got really good, like his mids are pretty good. He's got really decent mids and he can be fairly safe if he wants to be. And he's also got that kind of scorpion tech where he can do like the little like spinneroonie sword chip damage into like Jack's unblockable crap. And
reflects his own projectile.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even take damage with you. It's a forced Jack's interaction for the opponent only.
Kind of stupid. Kind of stupid, but I mean, It is what it is. That's the game, So,
and he's got that parry that gives him a full combo and all that stuff, but we talked about that earlier, right? It's not a very good parry. It's good in that it gives him a full combo and a million years to do literally whatever he wants to do, and it looks kind of funny.
It does look funny.
But as far if the parry is anywhere in your mental stack while you're playing against Conan, I don't think you're going to get hit by it, especially if you play a character. It's very easy when you play, say, like you play a character like Noob Saibot, who has a low combo starter.
Right.
Or Tanya, low combo starter. Quan Chi, low combo starter. That you kind of like, depending on the spacing, sometimes you use it, sometimes you don't. I feel like when you play against parry characters, it's very easy for me anyway, right, to kind of prioritize that. My mind is like, all right, like when I'm kind of like fishing and staggering, whatever, I'm definitely prioritizing my lows. Then I just don't even have to worry about the parry.
Yeah, I find that the most times when I get hit by a parry is when like the opponent does like a down one parry, and I'm trying to counter poke, and I just hit the parry by accident. That's the only time Conan has really ever hit me with a parry, which is a counter poke scenario kind of a thing. And then you're stuck there for freaking ever.
You were mashing.
I'm always mashing. That's a big problem. And I don't know why I'm having such a problem with this in this game as opposed to other games. Like, I used to be able to hold stuff just fine, but like I just find myself feeling like I have to mash on wake up all the time. It gets me killed so often.
No, you got broken during it because MK11 you were still wholesome and you were still like really respectful of what was happening in the game, like mechanically and frame wise and stuff. But You finally, after so many people badgering you, like part of playing the game is that you have to disrespect and you have to make sure that certain things are a threat against the opponent, because that's just how the game is played. And whether that's jumping or, mashing like a bar, right, which is always a conversation because that happens in every fighting game, and people have to argue about how legitimate it is to mash, right? Like,
Right.
you can't look. If you're getting mad that somebody's mashing you out of your +2, then you need to
jail that.
Just because you're +2 doesn't mean that you're using your 15 frame mid, right? Like,
Yeah.
you deserve to be mashed out of stuff like that. And this is what I have to remind myself all the time. And it's like, I get salty about that shit, but I get salty like at myself. And it's like, I know for a fact that he's -7. How does he keep hitting me after that? Like, I'm not even trying to gel, right? I'll just try to do like a down one and try to get a hit advantage because I know he's going to mash or whatever and take my turn that way. But so those are the things, like, again, like when I've been playing Noob, so new character and new buttons and new situations and stuff, and trying to get like a rhythm for that sort of thing. Dude, it takes so many games to try to break in a character for that sort of stuff, for me anyway.
Yeah, and maybe you're kind of right, because like during MKX and MK11, like I would just block probably too much, to the point where it was like I got to do something at some point, and then MK1 just forced me to have to play, and I think I swung a little bit too much in the opposite direction. So now I'm trying to find like that balance in between of like making sure that I'm respectful when I need to be respectful and disrespectful when I need to be. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. We've talked about it. This will be the third week in a row that it came up, but it deservedly so, right?
Yeah.
Sound play beats dumb play. Dumb play beats smart play. Smart play beats sound play.
Knowing when to be dumb.
You gotta know when to be dumb, and you gotta know when to, like, fuck your tech and your mix-ups and all your weird oki and stuff. There's a time just to, let people hang themselves. Just where what you're mainly thinking about just is your spacing. You're like, right, whatever it may be, but you have to. It's the game plan adjustment stuff. And there's so much wild shit in this game. Like defense, I feel like is really hard in this game. There's just not like a lot of defensive options, especially if your armor sucks and you have a cameo that can't help you out. Right. Like, it feels bad.
Yeah. What kind of I want to use the word bother, because like I don't know. I understand playing efficient stuff, but like some of the strategies with like Scorpion, where it's like 2-1, down forward 2, chip, Kano knives, or what other safe cameo, Jax or something like that. That stuff, like, it's so defeating to me, because it's like I could flawless block, I guess, to avoid the chip, but then like they're just gonna do it anyway. It costs very little resources, and I'm just like, I'm not really sure what my options are there, So it's just defeating if I lose to that kind of thing. And there's a couple instances of that in this game. I was saying with Conan too, same thing with Jax. So,
and I feel like that's one of the more unfortunate consequences of just the cameo system inherently, and like what they want to do with it, and ambushes and what they are enabled to do. So yeah. I agree, and it's just. That sort of stuff to me is literally no different from that week 1 meta that everyone was complaining about, which was Raiden doing down 4 into Storm Cell into Cyrax just on repeat. Like, tell me how that's any different than just getting somebody into a block string and a chip damage. They've got maybe a flawless block opportunity, a cameo that not only keeps that sequence safe, but allows you to do it like a second time. So as long as you have like resources and stuff, that's the same shit to me. Just wearing a different coat,
a different hat.
If you didn't like that, but this is okay. But I have a feeling that we're not the only ones that feel that way.
No,
I'm sure of it.
I'm sure we're not.
There's just less of it in the game because they kind of like nerfed it with Raiden, and they of course like nerfed Cyrax and stuff. But now we just have different flavors of the same thing.
I can't believe that Kano is like still pretty much the same as release. Like he's like, not saying he's overpowered. I don't mean to say that in a complaining way. It's just crazy that he's like the most basic cameo, like 3 moves, and that's like it, pretty much. Knives, ball, and
they've
laser.
They've given everybody besides Kano made me new stuff, right? Because I'm pretty sure every cameo has gotten that's not a DLC cameo. Every starting or every base roster cameo, I'm pretty sure has gotten something. And Kano got like maybe some frame data adjustments, and there was the thing that happened with his laser, right? Remember the scaling was all fucked up.
Oh yeah, there was
and
like
people
2 days.
getting like 900 damage combos in the corner.
Yeah.
And then we're like so upset when they like basically were like our bad, and they put the scaling on. They're like, oh, NRS doesn't know how to balance anything. And it's like, I don't think that you're even meant to get like a 30% combo there, right? I think just the scaling was missing, just period. So
that was a plus on block mid, if I remember correctly, at least for those 2 days. So like getting a plus on block mid with like 700 damage, like okay.
So they've kind of like dolled up some stuff that he already had, but they haven't given him anything new like they have. I'm pretty sure anybody else. Do you have a picture of the roster?
Not handy, no.
Where's that tier list?
Well, yeah. Shouts to your tier list. Oh, I made my Shujinko tier list earlier this week, and I
saw that in the video. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, I know that's around here somewhere.
Yeah, I meant to message you and be like, oh yeah, you should add Conan on there if you remember.
I'm gonna wait for T1000 because I'm a lazy bastard. I'll just hit them both at once.
When do you think that's coming? Do you have any guesses? Like the Combat League season ends in like 26 days or something like that. So
wasn't it a 60-day season? Didn't it? Like when Conan came out, wasn't it 60 days?
Maybe it was 46. Maybe I looked at it, but I looked at it in passing, so maybe I'm wrong.
I have no idea, but I would expect him to come out with the new season and like so the new invasions, new Combat League, new everything. So whatever that countdown says, I would expect him to be
That's when T1000 will come out.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm curious what they'll. I think the game's in a pretty good spot. Nobody feels too crazy overpowered. Well, I mean, Ermac and Janet still doing 600 damage is crazy. I don't know what you do about that, to be honest. Like, I feel like Janet could use a little bit of more scaling, but they've already nerfed those punches twice. Like, you're gonna nerf it again?
Yeah, they've done the same thing to Movado like 3 or 4 times, and I think they're finally done. I don't expect to see
anything huge,
anything else done with like Janet, Movado, Farah, like the nerfs that they've given them, whether it's damage or frame data in Farah's case. I don't expect them to be giving that back or making it like any worse. I feel like the Farah panic has pretty much subsided. She's kind of turned into a niche cameo instead of like literally on every team. Like you see her with Homelander, you see her with Scorpion. She's got a couple other really highly synergistic teams, and I feel like she can make any character better. It's just a matter of like some other cameos, like Movado, are so good. God.
Movado is just the bane of my existence. I hate that auto combo.
He makes me salty is because it's so like you're literally you're just doing a safe on block gapless string with that OS behind. On hit you get a combo, and on block you're safe
plus
and
whatever.
You didn't even have to risk using a cameo resource. That's what makes me salty about Movado. I think he's cool, and I use him like in a couple teams, but I don't. Not really. I don't play him seriously anymore. Just because I don't play any.
Yeah, like I think
I don't play any of my characters anymore.
I think he's like the most beginner friendly cameo, you know. And I don't mean to hate on anyone that uses Movado because he is super cool. I love his redesign. I love that they kept like, you know, Rubber Band Man kind of a thing going on. But just that, yeah, not having to hit confirm him is just that makes me salty. But again, I'll never hate on somebody for playing something that's good. If it's good and it's effective, good on you. You do you. But it just makes me salty. Same reasons that you were talking about. But again, I don't see that ever going away. I think that I agree with you with Farah, and Farah doesn't really bother me anymore. Like, the more that I've played against her, the more that it's like, okay, well, she's not as bad now, you know? Like, she's still got, like, gaps in between when your character cancels into her, so, like, you can usually armor her if you really want, or just go for the read on the uplock on the overhead.
I feel like if your opponent is using Farah, especially like Homelander or Scorpion, I would say Scorpion, especially with that back three, you just have to accept that you're going to be using resources for armor to not hold that shit.
Yep, exactly. You're going to set that precedent that being like, I know how to deal with this, so you're going to have to find different ways to get around it. and I don't find it that bad. Not at all anymore. Janet is still kind of like, it's just those punches. Like, everything else about her is fine. It's just those punches are kind of Movado-ish a little bit. Not as much, because like you have to hit confirm a little bit, or just, use her. But yeah, I still think she's like a top tier cameo, because she works with all the best characters and she gives everybody something.
She likes the emo boys. We talked about that before. Ermac and Noob are like a couple of her like strongest teams. Like what she
Edgy
enables
boys.
for both of those characters is ridiculous.
Yeah.
She definitely likes goth bros.
She has a type. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And that's without even using any of the Gento stuff. It's just punches. Punches and bunches, as they say, Punch,
I mean,
punch,
that's
punch.
the damage. So yeah, like him getting a combo off of armor, combo off of throw. Like you just hear the triple jump punch. It's like invades your dreams. You've heard it so many times during like a 1st to 10 that you just can't get the sound out of your head. But the setups into Gento that turn into like 600 and something damage sometimes, depending on how
crazy.
he starts it. That's insanity.
Yeah, I don't know what you do about that. You'd have to change something on Ermac's side, I guess, because Janet's already been normalized too many times, like how I've been saying. But I don't know what you would change. On Ermac's side.
They could do it just like they did. Remember the Tremor patch, right? Where they added all the additional, all this scaling to things that aren't special cancelable, but ambush cameos could continue the combo, and it nerfed like all this damage. So like the Melina's EX ball roll is a really good example. And if you had Scorpion, if you use that as a starter, right, just a 1-2 into an EX ball roll into a couple Scorpions, and another bar was like 570 damage or 600 damage or something ridiculous like that, and that same combo does like 412 or something now. But they did that across the entire roster. No, like to all the characters, like there wasn't any scaling there at all. And that's what Ermac feels like. He doesn't have any scaling on his, or it's like, but maybe they want that for him. Like that is not new tech. Ermac Janet has been a thing, I feel like, for a really long time.
Yeah, because he gets like throw combos and stuff with her too. So like it's not
like a mystery of like what's going on there, like an NRS, right? I think they've had time to fix it if they felt like it was out of control.
And that's just what they want Ermac to be, I guess. Just shitting out damage with Janet. I guess. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing from them. But I mean, I guess Ermac's combos do take some Gento stuff. So I mean, there's that, I suppose. It's not just brain dead armor move into, punch. It
adds execution to an already execution-heavy character. But if you're already playing him, he is an execution-heavy character, so you should not have a problem with the execution for the cameo sort of stuff. Or, I mean, it's dash canceling is not the same thing as holding a cameo button and then doing, like, whatever to make sure that she's punching and recharging when she should be. But it's still... Bro, that's so much damage.
It's a lot of damage. But I haven't seen Ermac really work with any other cameos, so I mean maybe he's in like a Lee May situation where you just that's your cameo. You want to play Ermac? All right, there you go. There's your cameo. Like in a game where cameos are supposed to be the game, I don't like to see that kind of a thing where you're locked into one. I'd like to see freedom for all, everyone to choose whatever you want. But unfortunately,
when's the last time you saw a noob without Janet? I feel like that's all I see now from new players besides Honeybee.
I have seen a couple of Noob Serenas, but that was like early on, like when
really, yeah,
when people were.
I
Still
feel like
out.
that's probably one of her worst pairings. I don't feel like they have any synergy at all.
That would make sense to me. I mean, she kind of does like something for everybody, but yeah, I kind of
not him.
Not him.
Like, the thing is, like the blessings and stuff, the curse is always good, like movement bait and stuff, and of course Noob has a million ways to capitalize off somebody trying to like frantically get away from something like that. But I feel like the big Noob's damage meterless. So when I say meterless, I mean no EX meter. So let's say no cameos and no EX meter, totally resourceless. His damage is not good. Like it's okay. Like off his biggest starter or something, you're going to get like definitely less than 300, like mid 200s or something like that.
That's
it's not until he can kind of like, get you in the air. And there is other stuff, right? Don't anybody like actually meme me, but I'm talking like his main kind of like combo pathing where he can start as like jump 2-3 and start into like all that sort of shit. The only way he has to get you in the air like that is through his portal. And he's either hitting that raw and neutral, or he's got to have a cameo to allow him to do that. Whether that's like Sub-Zero or Frost that gets the freeze, and so he can just go right into it. Like Frost is really good because you get combos from anywhere on screen.
Right. With the teleport.
Sector Janet does that. Scorpion does that. Did I already say Sector? Anyway, Serena does not do that for him. Pharah does not do that for him. Like, I feel like cameos that don't have a way. So even Shujinko can, because literally any hit confirm. I think it's a really strong cameo for him, actually. I was messing around with it a little bit earlier this week. Because anything can just go into the crumple, and then the crumple you have enough time to get the teleport. That's actually, I would say, for not using any EX resource, and with Shujinko, you're not even using any cameo, even if you have it charged, right? Because that's just Shujinko things. So it's just part of your like default kit. So I will call that truly like meterless. It's like 392 damage. That's really off good. Of like his fastest button. But I feel like he needs that sort of stuff anyway. That's my really long rant about why I think like Serena's not giving him anything like that, because her combo starter's key is blades, and he doesn't have enough time to do that.
Get anything off of that.
She may give him like some other things I'm not considering, but I feel like that's paramount, right? If you want to be doing like anything with this character, like once you actually open them up, once you touch them, you need a cameo that lets you get that portal off.
I got a question about Noob, and I said this on my stream the other day. It seems to me that when I'm playing against Noob Snybot players, they will throw their shadow out, whether it's the shadow slide or the shadow dive kick.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought this up again, because I have thoughts.
They'll just immediately slide again unsafe or dive kick unsafe. And I don't know, is there a strategy there that I'm missing?
No. So the slide, if they're sliding at you, I'm convinced it's just like you're playing against Sub-Zero players, right? Like just risking their life just to try to like catch you moving, or who knows, maybe they're not even doing it. Or maybe they're mashing it out and they're like, oh shit, I don't have my clone back. I got to stop doing that. They're trying to machine gun the sliding clone like they're playing MK11, but it doesn't work in this game. The more I've been playing him, the more it feels like I'm playing Natara, and I mean to whiff a dive kick right in somebody's face, but my spacing's a little bit off, or you moved, and you end up blocking it, and I get punished.
That makes sense.
So I feel like, because that's a big part. So if he ends his combo with the air dive kick, the clone's gone. He has enough hit advantage where he can just do another instant air dive kick, whiff that right in front of you, and sometimes still even like meaty you. It's always like closing the gaps in his combos. So I feel like some of your blocked dive kicks are just bad spacing.
That would make sense.
Not because he thinks that like, oh, I'm just gonna go for the dive kick because if it hits, I get 70 damage, and if it gets blocked, if it's Ermac Janet,
Yeah. No, if I'm thinking correctly from playing against Noob, he's a little bit weak in the neutral. Like, he has moves he can use, but like most of his moves are either like mix-ups up close, or he's got a hard commit to things in the neutral. So like he's got teleports and ghost balls and slides and all that kind of stuff, but they're all pretty committal. He doesn't have too much like space closure type things. Am I off the mark with that comment? Do you think that I'm pretty...
No, and I'm having a really hard time with his buttons. I know, like Boohoo or whatever. He has really good buttons, good frame data, and so like my brain's still kind of wrapping around how he should be using them as far as staggers and what kind of mind games he's trying to play. Because I feel like I'm mixing and matching and just trying like what I normally would do. And his staggers aren't great. They're staggers, right? Like a lot of it's like -4 or like -6, but it's like the fear of like the follow up. But I feel like people have crystal balls, right? It doesn't matter if I'm staggering back one or doing back 1-1 or something, they just always know when to press. Like, I just feel like that's me being predictable with a new character and stuff. I haven't really found my vibe that way, but I do like Frost, and so it's like what you've seen from me with Frost before with Sector, with Ice Blocks and Icy's Revenge, like in some of those block situations, trying to get some spacing back.
Yeah, and the ice wall.
I've been watching a lot of new players.
The ice wall would be good to like stop them moving backwards, like kind of force them to close the distance, kind of a thing.
Yeah, and he has good setups because he has like really good hit advantage, a lot of really good hit advantage situations. Like if he ends a combo with the tackle, he's usually like plus 50 or something. All sorts of crazy stuff, and his combo pathing kind of like changes in the corner, obviously, but there's things he can do. So Frostwall can give that to you, but he's got like legitimate orb setups, and that's super fun and really easy to set up. It just costs bar to do it, but if you have resources, then it's playtime, especially in the corner. Damage isn't great, but I don't know. I like playing that in this game, just that style.
That's what's super good about MK1 is there's no shortage of setups and little things that you can play with and tools that, you know, different scenarios.
Yeah, he has a lot of stuff. The thing, Noob can cover every square. He has an option to cover every square inch of the screen that isn't like directly behind him, right? He's got the straight clone, and anything that when he's in the air, the horizontal clone kick, which beats others like jump kicks. And so when people are trying to mess with their jump arcs and stuff, it's really good against stuff like that. Where say like maybe your own dive kick would cross streams or whiff or something. And where that doesn't cover, he's got the slide and he's got the tackle. And if you're respecting things and waiting for him to do it, or maybe trying to bait a teleport, then he's got portals he can be throwing it out that are like plus on block and stuff. But it's committed like once you get in that kind of that jump in range. But he's got the godlike down 2, and you know he's got standing 3. He has good tools, but I think he's really good only in the right hands, more so than like other characters.
Right.
And that's why Movado, I feel like, is really good for him, because every stray hit, every stray little clone can just turn into a combo. And sometimes that's what he needs, and it allows him to, you know, go in when he can go in, but anything from full screen can also turn into a combo.
Team Eyeliner, man. New Movado. Let's go. Freaking. You want a team that sits behind the school smoking cigarettes? That's your team right there. New
Movado's definitely the type.
New Movado.
Yeah. Movado looks like he's from Castlevania.
Yeah,
he looks like he's going to a nightclub in Los Angeles, California.
He needs like some spikes on the shoulders of his coat, I think. You know, like some little goth
like some
spikes.
biker spikes.
Yeah, or big like cock stomping boots, you know.
Cock stomping boots. I think they should give him a fanny pack.
What? A fanny pack?
Yeah.
I mean,
for no other reason than just I'm still kind of like marveled by the new Frost and Serena skins. The Frost skin, the Christmas one, has so much detail, right? Like the
Hail Santa.
The Hail Santa on the back, but the Hail Santa is clearly embroidered on the patch, and the patch is safety pinned to her jacket. Like all these little details, right? And her fishnets are like all ripped, and socks above those, all the layers of all of her stuff, and the little her name tag says Carl. I think it's supposed to be like Carly. Is that a reference to something?
I have
but
no
that's
idea.
Funny. CARLE is like what it says.
CARLE. Shouts to Carl.
Yep. Shouts to Carl. Anyway, it's great.
Well, that being said,
using
I'm going to go and look at it in more detail because I've missed all of those details you're just talking about. So that's it for another week. Thanks everyone for listening. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like because it really helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't, because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks. Next video.
Accept your death.